afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Kscope22 speaker series. Just to give you a little background, the idea behind the speaker series titled Masterclass with your Kscope22 Guru is to bring you diverse subject matter experts, dedicated innovators, and industry champions who are transforming the Oracle Cloud ecosystem. If our mission is to help businesses run better, one of the best ways we can do that is by bringing everyone together to share new ideas, start meaningful conversations on a variety of Oracle Cloud EPM topics, and hopefully, inspire you to join one of the most talked about events in the industry, ODTUG Kscope22. Today, our next speaker has architected and implemented MPM solutions for over 13 years with several Fortune 500 companies across multiple industries. Prior to consulting, she held managerial positions in finance, operations, and manufacturing engineering. She is a certified implementation specialist in Oracle Planning Cloud, Oracle Essbase, and Hyperion Planning. Without further ado, please welcome ArganoInterRel Senior Director of Planning, Josie Manzano-Stettler.
Betty.
Hello, Josie. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great.
Wonderful. Well, outside of your outstanding career, I've learned at one point you were a fellow bunhead. And for those of you who don't know, it is a term used throughout the dance community, in particular, usually ballet or jazz, but we'll dive into that on Josie's training in general. So, to our audience, the Q&A box is open for you to submit any questions you may have for today's speaker. This can be a fun question or any pondering question relating to enterprise planning. So, Josie, as a formal dancer, I have to ask, what are the dance techniques that you trained in?
So for a long time, it's been ballet. You know, that's my foundation. That's my go-to. That's my home. I used to hate it when I first started. I started when I was 3. So I think at that point, I didn't have a voice or opinion about it. Then, you know, I had a little bit of a rebellion stage, but I think as I've gotten older, I've definitely appreciated the experience and, you know, just the lasting values that have come from it. You know, having to train under a ballet master for a long time definitely instilled a lot of discipline to myself. Yes. And so, you know, basically I remember that lesson, and that's why I actually enrolled my daughter into ballet at a very early age, and she managed to also stay with it up until the time she graduated college.
I thought you were going to say managed to hate it at first as well.
Yeah.
But no, that's a thing that I have in common with you. As you know, I've done jazz, hip hop, lyrical, not ballet. It's something that I always wanted to do, but I definitely concur with you on just the lessons that you learned throughout dance, just being disciplined, showing up on time, learning that it's more than just you, it's team effort through and through. Is there any other dance techniques or styles that you trained in, or was it just ballet?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, basically when you do ballet, to me, that my opinion is you could do anything, you know. So I did get into jazz. My favorite is actually the type of jazz is and it's escaping me right now. Anyway, Broadway, you know, so I like the Broadway style, of jazz. And I think as an adult, I actually got into hip hop. And so we got to catch a cardio hip hop class when I'm back in Dallas. So,
hey, you could come to Dallas or I could come to you. I haven't taken a dance class in a minute, but most definitely cardio, just, you know, reliving that experience is also always great. Yeah. So kind of going into a different subject here, what's your favorite way to just spend your day off?
So basically any activity that involves several hours of walking. So that could be hiking, You know, so I love hiking through national parks. Recently in the winters, we discovered snowshoeing. You know, I had no idea that I could have so much fun in snowshoeing. So we picked it up in Alaska in a recent trip. And basically you have these huge, well, they're not that huge anymore. You know, I think technology has actually made them a little bit more streamlined, but these special shoes that enable you to walk on snow without sinking. So, so as a snowboarder, I thought I would never ever do this. I thought it would be too boring, but you know, I tried it and it was a blast. I had so much fun doing it. So I think that's something that we're going to be doing in future winters going forward. So it's a very good social activity. You could actually talk to people while you're snowshoeing. So
wow, so yeah, very, very active.
So, and then aside from that, you know, if I'm in a big city, a walkable city, I'd love to just walk for hours, you know, like at New York or Chicago or San Francisco. So that's just my favorite thing, is just urban hiking.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, you taught me something new. I've never heard of that. It sounds like quite the workout, but I'm sure that it is a great experience.
Anything that's 20,000 steps or more a day, I'm in.
Oh my gosh. See, and I thought like 5,000 to 10,000 steps is good. So what is the best vacation that you've ever took and why?
Well, I would say like basically, I think 3 years ago, we did a family trip to Italy, and we were celebrating our kids' college graduations. And we covered the Amalfi Coast, Rome, Capri, Italy, Florence, and Venice. And you know, if you've ever vacationed with me, we have several activities planned throughout the I think 10 days. It was 10 days or so. But I would say that there were 3 activities that were my favorite. A cooking class in Florence. So that was a lot of fun. We did truffle hunting near Florence, just right outside Florence. And the third one was a tour called Waking Up the Vatican, which was actually really, really cool. You have to meet at the Vatican at 6 a.m. And then you walk around with the, I think it's called the Clavigero. The Clavigero is the official keeper of the keys. And you walk through the museum with him, and you open doors, you turn on lights. So you're basically opening the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel with him. And the cool part about it is not only doing that, but also you get to view the masterpieces as you're going through it, unobstructed, no crowds. It's just you and the masterpiece, and your pictures are fabulous.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, you did say you have, was it 20,000 steps a day? So I completely get it. And tell me about the scenery in Italy. I've heard wonderful things. That's a place that I definitely now want to visit, as in the past 3 months. I heard the scenery is amazing. I heard the people, the food. So tell me about like just the scenery there and some of the things that you experienced that were, I guess, life-changing.
It's so actually that last trip was probably my third or fourth time in Italy, and the first time I'd been there was just right after college, when my parents were living in Germany and I visited them. I would definitely say that it's a different experience, you know, visiting Italy when I was 21 versus 3 years ago, more than 21.
Definitely.
Yeah, you mentioned the scenery, and you know, basically Italy is just an explosion for the senses. You know, not only the scenery is just breathtaking, it's different for the different regions that we've covered. But you also just, the wine is amazing, as well as the food. I mean, everything, the people, it's a very cool place. And it's definitely something that we'd like to do multiple times, definitely beyond what we did 3 years ago. So, yeah. Yeah,
you've definitely just made me want to visit Italy more than I've wanted to.
Shopping's also
never go wrong.
Can't forget that. The shopping's amazing. Yeah.
Most definitely. So I have to ask, is there any TV shows you recently binge watched? I've gotten into TV probably or I should say Netflix
during the
in
pandemic.
particular. Yeah, during the pandemic, most definitely. So is there any TV shows that you last binge watched and you absolutely love and you're telling family, friends, coworkers, etc. about?
So we're currently binge watching Just Call Saul, and I think Kevin said that in the recent in his masterclass. So I thought that was kind of funny. So I'm at season 4 right now out of 5. So we're almost there at the end. But we're probably one of the last people in the world that actually saw Breaking Bad recently. So we binge watched that earlier this year, and right after we finished Breaking Bad, we wanted more. We're sick people. We wanted more. So yeah, we continued on with Just Call Saul. So definitely binge watching that, as well as anything from the Star Wars and Marvel multiverse. We're looking forward to the second series of Wheel of Time. So I think that was either late last year or earlier this year. But as soon as we saw season 1, I was hooked. And so I started reading the books, which there's 14 of them. So I'm now in book 6. And I think that's like the fastest or the most I've ever read nonfiction books in a year, so it's and I'm still going, I think that was 6 books in the period of like 3 months. So it's definitely addicting.
Wow.
Highly recommend it. But the books are great. The TV series, I think, deviated a lot from the books. So my husband told me, oh, just read the books.
So what you're saying,
still looking forward to it.
So what you're saying is the TV show is like meeting up to the expectations of the book. That really
close. They kind of changed some things. Actually, they changed a lot of major things about it, but still, it's the characters are great.
Okay. And we can't talk about TV without talking about, podcasts or music. So is there any podcasts or music that you're listening to and you recommend? Just to give a little bit more insight of,
I'm into both. So yeah, I can't choose between the two of them. So I definitely do both podcasts and always music, especially when you're a dancer. But so podcast, my daughter actually got me into podcast. And it's actually become, I guess part of my whole daily routine. A little boring sometimes, but I do listen to gardening podcasts, productivity and fitness podcasts on a daily basis. And I would say, yeah. And let's see, but there are some serial podcasts that we enjoy, like Dr. Death, and it's kind of sick that we do like that. Crime Junkies, we love Crime Junkies. We usually go.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I listen to them every Monday that they release a new episode. This is music to my ears. Like it's weird, it's kind of dark, but and I'm the scariest person in the world, which is crazy. Like I can't watch a movie without getting in the shower, washing half my face, just so I can like be aware of my surroundings and the others. But I absolutely love like just it's weird, but I love the crime podcast. I don't know why. It's very informative, I would say, but I love asking this question. So if you can only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
That's an easy one. It's sushi, so sushi. I could live on sushi. So whenever we go out for sushi, 90% of the time, I always order the omakase because, I like to have the chef choose my adventure. Yeah.
Oh, brave. I get the same things all the time, but I truly enjoy sushi as well. So, if you are stranded on a deserted island, it can only have to bring 3 things with you. What would it be? And no electronics.
No electronics.
No electronics. Okay. 3 things if you could.
My yoga mat.
Okay.
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not.
Probably a picture of my family and a very thick book.
All
So,
great
yeah,
answers. Family, just because to keep them close, yoga mat to stay active, and then a book just to take your mind away until the rescue
right.
team comes.
Preferably authored by Jane Austen. So yeah, I am one of those.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into Jane Austen's books. So kind of just switching gears to professional questions. What first interested you into the topic of, enterprise planning and what, just planning in general? What first interested you in that?
Well, I spent a lot of time prior to consulting and I was actually in FP&A. I was an FP&A analyst and manager. I also spent some time in operations finance, as well as international finance. And S-Base and Hyperion planning were actually my primary tools when I was working in industry. So, yeah, I pretty much bit the bug there and couldn't get enough of those tools. And at some point I started supporting my fellow finance people as the power user, the central person, and I worked with all the consultants that helped us further enhance our application. So it's just kind of a natural progression after working with it and really getting to know the tool. I wanted to develop more solutions. I'm also by education, I studied as a industrial engineer. So definitely business improvement projects are just part of my DNA, as well as system design. So this is, consulting and building solutions is, just definitely a natural progression for me.
Absolutely. Very, very, very inspirational. So in your experience, what motivates you just to be the best in a job, to always deliver your best performance? You're known to just always show up, and in my words, show up and show out, always been at the top of your game. So what motivates you?
When I could solve a problem that will make people's lives easier, that motivates me. So, because I've been a finance analyst, and I've done the I've done the grind. And if I could make that grind a lot shorter and painless, then I feel like I'm helping out a lot of people.
Love that. Love that. Definitely a team player answer, which it does not surprise me. So what is one of the important skills that you think everyone should have?
I would say just always be open to learning new things. Just keep those brain neurons firing. I think, that's you'll be more adaptable to change, as well as, just kind of be a happier person and be more open when you learn, when you're continuously learning new things.
I absolutely agree. Just being open, listening. It also shows that, like you said, you're not afraid of change, and what comes your way, if anything, it just demonstrates that you relish it, that you are a natural learner and et cetera. So kind of going over to Kscope, the Kscope event is like 10 days away from today. So how many Kscope conferences have you attended? And I must say, digital conferences count. I've had that question a few times. So you definitely count digital and in person in your attendance rate.
I would say for Kscope, combining Kscope and Hyperion solutions, not our Hyperion solutions, but Hyperion solutions prior to Kscope, basically about 12. I said 12, 10 as a Oracle partner and 2 as a when I was in industry. And I think that was a lot more fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a huge number. So knowing that you've been to 12 of these Kscope conferences, what is your favorite part? Like, what keeps drawing you to go back and attend?
I think it's kind of like a little mini family reunion, or not mini, well, you know, it's a family reunion for the industry. So, because I've worked with a lot of people out there, you know, I have former colleagues out there that, you know, I used to work with side by side, you know, both as a consultant and as a, I was their client. So it's cool to catch up with them over there, as well as catch up with some former clients. And of course, I try to stuff in as many sessions as possible, because I just love learning from other people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, being open and that being the skill set that you recommend is most important. I can definitely see that. So at this time, we would love to see a sampling or a teaser of your Kscope22 presentation. So if you can go ahead and pull that up. And
Sure.
To our audience, while she pulls up this presentation, I would like to know how many Oracle community events that you plan on attending this month in June. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll here. So while we pull that up, if you can submit your answers, and we will jump right into today's session.
Brianna, oh, never mind. I was going to ask you, I'm showing I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
I'm showing the presentation. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And then we'll leave this up here for a few more seconds. And this is just so that we can know, just a little bit more about you all. And again, the conferences that you attend, your favorites, or what you look forward to every year as far as the Oracle community event. So I'll leave this up for about 5 more seconds. And then I will share the poll, and we'll get right into today's session with Josie. All right, Josie, and the floor is all yours. So give us a teaser of what you're going to be presenting and just share a little bit of insight on enterprise planning.
Sure, I'd be happy to. All right. Okay, so this slide shouldn't be new to a lot of you. You've probably seen this several times, maybe every time in this, especially in this series. But the one thing I'd like to highlight here is that our mission statement is to leave the world a smarter place than we found it. You know, this is truly our why at ArganoInterRel, and I believe it's to be frank, it's our differentiator. Okay. Now the takeaway here is that Oracle EPM analytics is our jam. We've been recognized 5 times as an Oracle EPM and Analytics Partner of the Year. And I'm just lucky to work with quite a few industry rock stars who are recognized in the EPM and BI space by their Oracle ACE and ACE Director designations. We have a wealth of experience in implementing the cloud, and we are regular participants at the Oracle Partner Previews. Lastly, we offer full stack of services, which includes consulting, strategy, support services, training, and infrastructure. We are extremely proud of achieving a 77% Net Promoter Score, or NPS, which is a measure of how likely a customer would recommend a company, product, or service to a friend or colleague. The industry average for system integrators is 24%. And as you can see, we blow that stat away by over 300%. We rock. All right, okay, in case you missed it, my name is Josie Manzano-Stettler. I am the Senior Director for the Planning Practice at ArganoInterRel, and this is my Masterclass. I'm participating in 2 sessions at this year's Kscope in Grapevine, Texas. The first being Freeform apps in EPM Cloud. What is it and how can it help me? And the second one is I'm actually a co-presenter for, with Holland America Group is how we flex our Groovy muscles at Holland America Group. I'll cover a few highlights from my Freeform apps in EPM Cloud presentation, which is scheduled for Monday, June 20th at 11 a.m. Central. This is the agenda that I'll cover. First, I'll cover what is Freeform apps. Then I'll talk about the benefits and functional gains that you will realize once you migrate an on-premise S-based application to Freeform. Next, I'll address the common dilemma of choosing between Freeform and S-21C and help you decide what's your best fit. Then I'll talk about and actually demo the different options available for creating a Freeform application and offer a few readiness tips and considerations for getting your application ready for migration. The MultiQ Freeform apps was released in October of 2021. Now, this type of deployment is actually not really new. Freeform apps has actually been around for a couple of years before that. However, you could only create one cube per application. With this release, it actually enables you to now create up to 12 cubes per Freeform application. And it's just like an S-based application where there's no required dimensions and it's completely flexible. Here are the main features for Freeform apps. As I mentioned before, you could create up to 12 cubes, and these could be either all BSO or all ASO, or even a combination of both. The BSOs are actually, by default, BSO hybrid cubes. We also have 3 ways of creating a Freeform app. The first being taking your on-premise OTL or LCM, as long as it's no earlier than version 11.124. You can also create the cube and dimensions from scratch. And then finally, you could create it from what they call an application template, a Freeform application template. Now, if you've actually seen the cube designer feature from the S-based cloud process, then you'd be familiar with this application template. It's kind of the same concept. You can have up to 29 dimensions. 26 of them are custom. The first 3 being account, entity, and time. And then you also have no standard dimensions. And so even though you have account, entity, and time, they're not required. So you could actually opt out of those 3 dimensions if you wanted to. You can flex the dimensions by cube. So the cubes within the application can actually share dimensions, or they can have standalone dimensionality within that same application. There's no out-of-the-box dimension numbers. So just like in the planning modules, you have these out-of-the-box numbers that you have the option to leverage. There's none of that here. And then there's also no year dimension required. So we've run into a lot of clients where prior to moving to Planning Cloud, they've had a time dimension which combined the years and the periods. And then when they moved to the cloud, or I'm sorry, when they moved to planning, they actually had to break it up. And so here you don't have to do that. You can keep it into one time dimension and have that time dimension propagate across years. So this option is a blank slate. It's just like Excel. It's not solution oriented, but it is flexible to create whatever business solution fits your needs. Now, on top of this, you could further enhance your application if you are migrating from on-premise S-based. You can enhance it instantly by leveraging just about all of the off-the-shelf features from planning, like forms, calculation manager, navigation flows, security, including cell level security, valid intersections, and many, many, many more. This presentation will have demos, and so it will be interesting, it'll be fun. The goal of all this is to help you make an informed decision about choosing this type of application deployment. In the second presentation, I'll be taking the supporting role for Steve Wyatt's Flexing Our Groovy Muscles at Holland America, which is scheduled for Tuesday, June 21st at 11:45 a.m. Central. I actually architected this solution, and it initially went live in the spring of 2020. Now, this project was actually multi-phased. However, the project did take a pause for about 1.5 years due to the pandemic. Now, thankfully, we managed to re-engage in September of last year, and we are happy that we're happy to announce that we had recently finished a huge rollout of their revenue and ship operating cost planning, which will support their return to service operations. In this session, Steve will open with the overview of Holland American Group and the journey that they've undertaken to implement their EPM cloud architecture. I'll then follow up with some technical and functional context around FlexForms and Groovy. And then finally, Steve will talk about how these two components were game changers in their solution. So when implementing earlier planning projects, a common request that I've had from customers, especially those that had come up from S-Base and are used to the Excel add-in, is that they've always asked me is, can I mass load my spreadsheet, lock and send it? Because I can't use the data forms. I hate the data forms. You have these gray protected cells that get in my way, and it's way too time consuming for me to like reformat my sheet and leverage those data forms. Well, FlexForms is the answer to all this. The rows and now recently the columns are unprotected. So you could also use Excel functionality to enter data. You can cut and paste from other workbooks into these forms. You could actually sort the rows as well as filter the row data. The POV members, however, are protected to kind of keep those guardrails intact, for inputting your data. And also the huge advantage over an ad hoc sheet that you're lock and sending or submitting is that you can attach business rules and smart pushes that can be set as run and save. This feature is only available for the SmartView versions 21.100 and higher. And unfortunately, it's currently not supported in the Mac and browser version. All right, so here's a really, really quick demo of a FlexForm in action. Just to give you a flavor for it, in case you've never seen or don't really know what a FlexForm is. So what I have here is a form that's rendered in SmartView. You can see it's the vision driver-based expenses form. And let me show you how a FlexForm works. So let me just start the demo. Okay. So let's say that this form's a little bit too much. I'm gonna delete these cells that I don't need, okay? So in a traditional form, you can't do that. You can't delete the cells, it's protected, right? So I'm gonna be able to delete them because I don't need them. And I refresh it and you can see they just go away. Then now I'm gonna add 2 more rows. So I'm gonna put in the entities I need, finance US and operations US. And then also I am going to take other marketing as an account and fill those in. Then I'm going to refresh the form. And then you can see that those rows are now ready for input. So it's just like part of a regular form. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. And if I had business rules attached to this form, they're going to run right away. Okay, as well as a smart push. If I have a smart push that's pushing this data to a reporting cube, you know, I could also have that run after save as well. So at Kscope, I'll go over how to enable a web form to be a flex form. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is Groovy. So what is Groovy? What is Groovy other than Holland America going live? So Groovy is a object-oriented programming language for the Java platform. And it's actually been leveraged, you know, for probably the past 3 years or so in the latest EPM cloud products and solutions, as well as the features that have recently come out. Now, implementers, just like me, are adopting Groovy really fast. You know, I know in my project, my practice, I've encouraged to get to know this language fairly quickly and just start using it. And this has enabled us to actually deliver some really higher performance gains, as well as improve the user experience. I think it's fair to say that Groovy takes the EPM cloud capabilities to the next level, indeed the next level. So at Kscope, Steve is going to talk about how he used Groovy to take their implementation to the next level. So if you are going to Kscope, be sure to add this presentation to your schedule. All right, well, that's all I have for now to share, but we have so much fun in store for you. Make sure you tune in next week, same time, same channel, where Wayne Benslus will close out this series with his masterclass on Oracle Analytics. This is a complete slate of our presentations for ArganoInterRel at Kscope. Be sure to add these to your calendar if you are attending, because we won't disappoint. And if you still haven't signed up for Kscope, you can still sign up and save $100 on registration if you use the ArganoInterRel code.
So I have some wonderful news for you all. ArganoInterRel is celebrating 25 years in business. Thank you for your trust, support, and the opportunity to serve you. To show our appreciation, you are invited to join the ArganoInterRel team for a night to remember at Corky's Gaming Bistro on Tuesday, June 21st from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. Corky's Gaming Bistro is a fast-paced, energetic environment with something fun for everyone. So you may be thinking, what should I expect? Well, to start off, we will have the entire venue to ourselves. This will include the classic arcade games, axe throwing, escape rooms. We'll even have live music there for you, a 360-degree photo booth, because come on, who doesn't love pictures? A full bar, complimentary dining, and complimentary transportation from the Gaylord Texan. This invite is exclusive to today's session attendance. So I just dropped that link in the chat for you all so that you can go ahead and register for Quirkies. It would have all of the details that I just mentioned here so that you are able to go ahead and RSVP for our exclusive events. We truly hope that you are able to make it. And thank you, Josie, for meeting with us today and giving us the opportunity to get to know you and for sharing a teaser of your Kscope22 presentations. For you all, this is all that we have today for this meaningful conversation. Just a reminder, if you'd like to view past speakers, visit EPM.Kscope22 Gurus to be able to view. Here you'll be able to register for next week's session, which is going to be, just like Josie said, it's going to be Ask Wayne Van Sluis about Oracle Analytics. I just dropped that link in the chat for you all as well so that you can go ahead and register. Thank you again, Josie, and we look forward to seeing you all soon.
Same here. Hope to see you all there. Bye.
Yes, we'd love to see you and enjoy the rest of your week.